You know the drill. You've got just a couple of items, the regular checkout lines are a mile long. So you zip over to the self-checkout. You scan your stuff, tap your card, and you're out. It feels fast, super efficient, simple. But what you might not realize is that simple transaction is actually at the heart of a massive, multi-billion-dollar tug of war. See, on the surface, self-checkout, or SEO, as the industry calls it, is all about making things easier and faster for you. But hiding just beneath that promise of a smooth, frictionless experience, retailers are fighting a huge hidden battle with a problem they call shrink. That's right, this everyday tech has become a real battleground.
And at first, it really seems like the perfect win-win situation. We, the shoppers, got exactly what we wanted. And get this, one study found that over a third of us choose self-checkout just to avoid talking to anybody. Meanwhile, for the retailers, the goal was simple: slash labor cost by letting us do the work cashiers used to do. It looked like a flawless trade-off.
So let's dive into how that promise actually played out. Because the adoption of this technology wasn't just some gradual shift. Oh no, it was a complete and total takeover of the retail world. And the scale we're talking about here is just massive. A study from the ECR Retail Loss Group found that in some grocery stores, a staggering 80%, 80, of all transactions go through these machines. Self-checkout isn't just an option anymore. For a lot of us, it's the main event. But that huge shift came with a very, very expensive problem. And this, right here, is where the paradox really starts to kick in. Because while all those retailers were busy cutting their labor costs, another much sneakier cost was quietly spiraling completely out of control. 23%. A global study of the world's biggest retailers found that self-checkout systems can be responsible for up to 23% of a store's entire unknown losses. I mean, that is a massive slice of the pie, way more than just a rounding error. So the big question is, where is all this loss even coming from? Well, it turns out it happens in a whole bunch of ways. Some on purpose and some, well, not so much. You've got the obvious stuff, right? People just forgetting to scan an item or doing the classic barcode swap, putting the sticker for a cheap onion on an expensive steak. But it's also honest-to-goodness mistakes. People get confused or they think they've paid when the transaction didn't go through and they just walk away. It all adds up. And you got to think there's a psychological thing here too. It just feels different interacting with a machine than a person, which might make it a little easier to rationalize a mistake.
And retailers, they are definitely feeling the heat. The consensus is crystal clear. They know this is a huge problem, and 2/3 of them think it's actively getting worse. Only a tiny fraction, about 11%, feel like they're getting a handle on it. But their first attempts to fix the problem, well, that just created a whole new one. Right, because in trying to stop theft, retailers kind of accidentally declared war on the honest customer. They created all this friction and frustration, and in the process, they gave us a phrase that will haunt our nightmares forever. Oh, you know it, I know it, we've all wanted to throw something when we hear it. That one single infuriating phrase just perfectly captures how clumsy and annoying that early loss prevention tech really was. It basically treated every single one of us like we were about to rob the place. And all that friction came from things like these super finicky weight sensors. The idea was simple enough. The weight of the item you put in the bag should match the weight of the item you scanned. But they were so sensitive and so easily triggered that they drove honest shoppers insane. In fact, it got so bad that big retailers like Walmart reportedly just started turning them off, deciding they'd rather risk the theft than guarantee frustrating every single customer. So that brings us to the challenge retailers are facing today. How do you stop the bleeding from theft without alienating the very customers you're trying to help? Turns out, there's no single magic bullet. Instead, they're taking this really comprehensive, four-pronged approach. It's a mix of way smarter technology, having better trained staff, which the study calls guardianship, plus clever store design and just more efficient processes. It's a multi-front war on loss. And surprisingly, one of the most important weapons is human. Yeah, it turns out one of the absolute best loss prevention tools isn't a fancy sensor or a camera at all. It's a person. A well-trained, attentive employee who's focused on hospitality, can spot real issues, help out confused customers, and, their very presence is a natural deterrent to anyone thinking about trying something fun. And this quote from a Toshiba exec really just hammers that point home. It doesn't matter how smart the technology gets, you simply can't automate the human touch that's needed to solve problems smoothly. But that technology is getting incredibly smart.
Okay, this is where things get really, really interesting. Retailers are now rolling out these cutting edge AI systems that are fundamentally changing the entire self checkout game.
The key piece of tech here is something called computer vision. Now, to put it simply, this is AI that lets a machine actually see and identify what's in front of it in real time. So instead of just relying on weight, the checkout can now recognize a can of soup, a bunch of bananas, or a nice bottle of wine. And that, my friends, changes everything.
So here's how it all works together. You've got an AI camera that sees the item you place in the bagging area. The AI instantly cross-references that image with the item you just scanned. So let's say you scan a cheap carrot, but you put down a pricey avocado. The system knows instantly. But instead of a loud alarm, it just sends a quiet alert to a staff member's phone to come over and help. And this represents a huge shift in thinking. The old tech was like a robot referee, just blowing the whistle on everyone for the tiniest mistake. These new AI systems are designed to be more like an invisible digital assistant, working in the background to catch big errors and actual fraud without hassling every single customer. It's about reducing both the friction and the risk at the same time.
But of course, this all leads to a really important question. These smarter, AI-powered systems work because of cameras and constant analysis of what we're doing. So, to make our checkout experience more convenient and secure, we're inviting more and more surveillance into the process. As this tech becomes the new normal, we have to ask ourselves, have we really found the right balance between a seamless shopping trip and our own privacy?